Every doctor you have ever seen has told you to eat more vegetables, more greens, and more color on your plate. For most of your life, that advice was exactly right. But something changes inside your kidneys after you turn 60 that most doctors never take the time to explain. Certain vegetables you have been eating for decades start doing quiet damage that adds up until your blood work comes back wrong and nobody can quite figure out why. By the time you reach 60, your kidneys filter blood at roughly half the rate they did when you were 30 years old. Compounds like oxalates, potassium, and phosphorus used to pass through your system without any issues. Now they linger and concentrate until they cause real harm. Oxalates form tiny crystals that can scratch and scar your kidney tissue, while potassium builds up in the bloodstream and disrupts the electrical signals that keep your heart running. We are counting down 5 vegetables that seniors are constantly told to eat more of, ranked from bad to devastating. You really need to stay for number 1. It is the specific vegetable people are blending into smoothies every single morning while thinking it is the healthiest thing they can do for their bodies. Number 5, canned vegetables. Picture a normal weeknight dinner where you open a can of green beans or corn, drain the liquid, and heat it up as a quick vegetable serving. Nothing about that feels like a health risk. It is just a vegetable. But the real problem is what happened to that food before it ever went into the can. Sodium is used to preserve these vegetables, and a single half-cup serving can carry up to 400 milligrams of salt, depending on which brand you buy. That number might not mean much in the abstract, so let's look at what it actually does inside your body. Sodium pulls water into your bloodstream, which means more volume is pushing against the walls of every blood vessel and driving your blood pressure up. Your kidneys are full of tiny filtering units called nephrons that were built to handle normal pressure. They cannot survive the sustained high-pressure load that excess sodium creates every single day. When that pressure keeps climbing meal after meal, it eventually damages the delicate membranes inside those nephrons. A 30-year-old with healthy kidneys has enough reserve to absorb some of that damage. Someone over 60 whose kidney function is already declining naturally, that damage does not repair itself the way it used to. The practical fix is actually very simple. Research shows that rinsing canned vegetables under cold running water for 2 full minutes can cut the sodium by 40%. That is a meaningful difference with zero cost. The better move, however, is switching to frozen vegetables with no added salt. You get the same convenience and shelf stability without any of the sodium load. Number 4, tomatoes. What could possibly be wrong with a tomato? It is fresh, it is whole, and it is bright red, exactly how a healthy food is supposed to look. Most of us think of them as light and watery, but tomatoes are actually among the highest potassium foods in a typical kitchen. A single medium tomato carries about 290 milligrams of potassium. While healthy kidneys clear that without any trouble, the story changes as we get older. For many adults over 60, the kidneys filter at a reduced capacity, which means potassium does not exit the bloodstream like it should and starts to build up instead. When those levels climb too high, doctors call the condition hyperkalemia. The symptom most people never see coming is a heart rhythm problem. Your heart runs on electrical signals that depend on minerals like potassium to function, and too much of it can cause your heart rhythm to go wrong very quickly. This is not the kind of symptom that shows up slowly over time. It is the kind of situation that leads to an immediate emergency room visit. The problem gets even worse when you start cooking. Tomato sauce concentrates the potassium from several tomatoes down into just a few spoonfuls. A quarter cup of tomato paste can hold over 600 milligrams of potassium, more than double what you would get from eating a whole fresh tomato. People who skip raw tomatoes and cook everything into a sauce think they are making a safer choice. They are actually just creating a much more concentrated version of the same problem. You can get that same crunch and color from bell peppers while only getting a fraction of the potassium. Cucumbers or shredded cabbage work just as well in salads. Number 3, potatoes. A medium tomato has 290 milligrams of potassium. A medium baked potato has over 900. That is more than triple the amount sitting inside what most people consider the most harmless food they eat. Potatoes built their reputation on being easy, soft, filling, and very gentle on the stomach. Many seniors gravitate toward them for those exact reasons. They often have no idea there is a problem because their kidneys are simply losing the ability to keep up. Number 2, Swiss chard and beet greens. This is where the pattern changes completely. Canned vegetables are a processing issue. Tomatoes are a potassium issue. Swiss chard and beet greens are something different. The damage they cause is not just about things building up in your system. It is actually structural damage to the organ itself. Most nutritionists push these greens hard because they are loaded with calcium, magnesium, and nitrates that lower blood pressure. For healthy adults, that advice is fine. For aging kidneys, it can cause real harm. The specific compound is called oxalate. Swiss chard and beet greens are among the densest sources of oxalates on the planet. 1 cup of cooked Swiss chard contains over 900 milligrams of oxalates. A kidney protective diet usually caps daily intake at 50 to 100 milligrams total. One single serving of these greens blows past that daily limit by 9 or 10 times. Most people know that oxalates form painful stones, but the problem goes much deeper than that. They can cause damage even if a stone never forms. As these microscopic sharp-edged particles move through your kidney tubules, they scrape and inflame the delicate tissue every time they pass through. Over months and years, that repeated irritation creates permanent scarring inside the kidney by a condition doctors call oxalate nephropathy. The result is that your filtering tissue stiffens and your capacity drops. Unlike many age-related changes that happen slowly, this specific type of scarring is usually permanent. You might think cooking these greens helps. While heat reduces their volume, it does not break down the oxalates. When you cook them, you end up eating a smaller portion that is actually more concentrated. Raw or cooked, the underlying problem remains exactly the same. The good news, kale, arugula, and romaine all land well below 50 milligrams of oxalates per serving. You do not have to stop eating vegetables altogether. You just need to swap the wrong greens for the right ones. Number 1, spinach. If you thought the previous numbers were high, 1 cup of cooked spinach contains over 1,200 milligrams of oxalates. Swiss chard was already 15 times over the daily limit for a kidney patient. Spinach clears that mark by another 300 milligrams on top of it. The irony is that the reason spinach became a health icon is the exact same reason it is so damaging to your kidneys. That deep green color signals a very high mineral content, while it genuinely packs iron and folate into a small serving. The plant produces oxalates as a natural defense mechanism. The most dangerous way to consume it is by putting raw spinach into a morning smoothie. Blending the leaves ruptures the plant's cell walls, and the oxalates that would normally release slowly during digestion flood into your gut all at once and absorb into your bloodstream rapidly. Someone who starts a daily smoothie habit thinking they are helping their health can actually be accelerating kidney damage without even knowing it. There is no immediate symptom to warn you. The harm only shows up later on a lab test as a drop in your filtration rate that your doctor might not be able to explain. If your kidney tests are perfectly normal, you can occasionally eat spinach alongside calcium-rich foods. The calcium binds to the oxalates in your gut before they ever reach your kidneys. For anyone who already has elevated creatinine levels, the only practical answer is to remove spinach from your diet entirely. You can get the same green color, the fiber, and almost all the same nutrients from romaine or butter lettuce without flooding your kidneys with dangerous oxalates every single day. Each vegetable we talked about today is usually great for your health, but aging kidneys change the rules for all of them. Check your latest blood work for creatinine and potassium levels if you eat these often, and ask your doctor what those numbers mean for you. Tell us in the comments which one surprised you most, and subscribe so you don't miss our next video.